Hi guys,
How you doing?
good thanks and you?
Not bad. Friday afternoon. Friday's always good, right? That's
Of course. How are you, Javier?
Hello, I'm good.
Good.
How are you doing with the app?
Going well, really going well. We found some interesting workarounds. We managed to get the web view problem we were trying to solve last time to work.
Right.
We are compliant now, so we've tested the APIs multiple times. We're almost there. It's really exciting times.
Nice.
That's cool. So how long have you been working on it? Has Bravo helped you move faster, or?
1000%. We've been using, and by we I mean my team and we've been using no-code platforms and learning how to use no-code platforms for the better part of about 6 or 7 months. We from a non-technical background whatsoever. Jumped right into Adalo first, then bounced around between a few other tools, landed on Bravo and Xano to actually build our application, and we've just been extremely happy with Bravo.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Cool. So, yeah, I'm not too sure how this is gonna go, but I do have a few questions.
Well, so I mean, I think this is the first time we've done office hours, so we try and make it as flexible as possible. The idea is we trying to see who turns up, and then trying to figure out either we split it into different rooms, or if it's just you, then we could spend the time helping you. So yeah, it can work out very well for you in that instance. So yeah, it's just a case of us trying to make sure that at the end of the day, we're just trying to make sure we can help as many people as possible. Trying to fix little things. I mean, if it's a really complex thing, it might be difficult to do in the time, but let's see what we can do. So I guess we'll probably give it a couple of minutes. Maybe we should start if no one else turns up.
Yeah.
Javier, do you want to talk through, because we're recording this, do you want to talk through what you want to say anyway? Because just to let you know, we were going to have a topic just to talk about, so that we could have some, we could have a video message about that feature as a starting point, and then we could maybe delve into trying to fix your issues.
Yeah, I will just share my screen.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Okay.
You sharing? Okay, got it. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a new feature we released yesterday. It's called conditional callback actions, or conditional actions. So basically, this will allow users to create different actions depending on data coming from your backend, or depending on the built-in variables that Bravo supports, like user ID, user email, device ID, language, etc. So we believe this is going to be quite useful to create more complex logic inside the apps. So it could be interesting to just show some of the use cases. So in this case, what we created is an application that asks for the age of the user, and if they are like 18 or older, then they can access some content, and otherwise they will be shown like this screen that their access is denied. So this is just a very simple example of what can be done with the conditional actions. So here in this page, we have a form. So we have here this just one input field, which is the age of the user. And if we open the request, this is the post request connected to the form. So we are sending the age of the user, and then here we are selecting this value here. So I will just send a test request now, so you can see. Okay, there we go. So basically here Airtable is returning the data we just sent. In this case is with these test values, but in case we are using the app, it would be the actual value the user inputs in the form. And then Airtable is actually, I can open Airtable as well, so you can see This is just an example. So there are multiple things that can be done here. This is a very simple Airtable base that consists of one field, which is the age. This one is the field we are sending from Bravo. And here we have a function. So this function calculates if the age is 18 or more. And if so, it transforms or it outputs this text, which is access granted. And otherwise, it outputs access denied. So this is something that we can set up here in Airtable to do. So this is just an example. And then we are getting this data in Bravo. So we are getting, this is text, normal text. We are selecting this. We are giving it this name. We could just put any name we prefer here. And then here, so this is the input destination of the form. This is where the data will be sent. And then here we have the form response action, right? And until now, there were like these options, like you could have no action after the form was successfully sent, or you could do any of those, right? So show an alert, go to a page, go back, like open URL, just refresh the page. And now we have one extra option, which is the conditional action. So this conditional action allows us to create actions that will be either completed or not, depending on this condition we define here. So in this case, we have two different actions. The first action would be if this access item, which is the one we are getting here from Airtable, if that's equal to access granted, which is the text we defined in Airtable, then we want to guide the user to the access granted page. So this action will only be executed if this condition is fulfilled. So in case the text actually is access denied, or in this case we created this action, which is if access is not access granted, so if it's anything else, then we will do this navigation. So basically in the way we created this, only one of those two actions will be executed, but we could have like as many as we want. We can define here more actions. So we could do something regarding, for instance, the device platform, or just anything we want. So this is quite powerful to first like create conditional navigation flows. So we could have like, for instance, the backend returning some values, and depending on those values, then we can define different navigation flows. And we can do more stuff. We could even do form validation. For instance, in this case, we could only allow users between like a certain range of age to access one page, then other range access another page. So we can do like a lot of stuff. We could even invalidate the form if the data is not correct. So we could say, hey, you have inputted something that doesn't make any sense, so you need to submit the form again. So there is like a lot of flexibility and a lot of options with this feature.
That's very cool. Okay. Right. So I guess no one else has turned up. So Angela, should we go through the issues you want to talk about today? How we can help?
And just before we get into that, I just wanted to say I saw the conditional logic announcement yesterday, and it got me very excited to see the power that type of backend functionality within Bravo has. So I'm very excited to implement it. We've got a few places where we can implement it. So I'm very excited to put that to
That's
use.
Cool. All right, we'll try it out. Let us know how you get on.
Just a question on that though. I saw that on the documents that it said only 3 conditional actions would be allowed. Is that true, or was that just an example and we could ultimately do a few more?
So I mean, there is like I guess you mean the action to be executed after the conditional. So there is like a set of actions you can activate, and it's pretty much the same actions you have or you had before. So it's like go to a page, show an alert, open a URL, refresh the page. I think that's it, and go back also. So there is those 5 that you can define, but as you saw, you can define several actions, and depending on the condition is fulfilled or not, they will be executed or not. So you could have like 3 different conditional actions, and each of them would navigate to one page, for instance.
But could you have like more, I guess my question is, can you have more than one? Can you have more than 3 ifs? Right? Can you have like if this, if this, if this? How many?
Yeah.
What is there a limit to the number of ifs you can have?
Actually, I mean, I didn't test like a lot of them, but I believe it should be enough to create.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not aware of too many. There's probably a limit to it, but I don't think it's just 3. But you know, this is new features, so we try out, see how well it works. So let us know how you get on.
Okay, cool. We'll do for sure. All right, then I guess what I can do is I had made some posts to the community. One of which I believe you guys can give me a very quick answer to is it possible to create custom drop downs within Bravo? I've seen a few people posting on the community. A few people have replied to my post as well, wondering if they can do the same thing. But I haven't really seen anything. So I just wanted to get clarification on whether it is possible to create a custom designed drop down in a form.
Oh, for a form. Okay. So you can actually design the input itself, but when you press on that input, the drop down that appears, that's the native one. So it's one specific for iOS, one specific for Android. So you can have like the box itself can look like as you want, but then when you press on that will be like the native drop down. So that's not customizable at the moment.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's perfect. I'll just make sure to reply to that so other people are aware. And then I think this might be better for me to possibly screen share, just because the post is it does walk through the steps. So if
Sure.
you just
Let me check the permissions. Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
All right, so just looking at this over here. So basically we are trying to create a form where we allow users to select, so we basically want to create a form, and when that form is outputted, we have a very specific design for how that output looks. And part of that form and part of the output is an icon that we will allow users to select to be, you know, the profile photo of that specific output. So if you look over here, this is the form, and we wanted to have like a choose icon button. If that is clicked, it will then open up to what we have coined as an icon library for users to select what kind of icon they would like to use. From there, we were thinking it could be a confirm pop-up, just so, you know, if they click it, we immediately ask if that's the one that they want. And then essentially we would want it to be outputted back onto the form as the icon that they've selected. We are having a bit of trouble trying to figure out the logic, how this could possibly work. But I guess the main question at the end of the day is at the top here, sorry. So once the icon has been selected, how can we pass the selected icon from the icon library to the pop-up page and then ultimately back to the form as well?
Yeah, and actually this is a very interesting use case. The main problem, I believe, maybe Toby, you can also like have discussion on that, but I think the main issue is that with the form inputs we allow at the moment, it would be quite complicated to be able to select a design you create in Figma. So right now we allow to have like a drop down, and we allow to upload a file, upload a picture, but it would be quite complicated to be able to select a component in your design and have that as the input, I'm afraid.
But I mean, if they're images, I mean, I guess the question, is it the image selection that's the problem, or is it more about how that selected image is passed back? Because, for example, I mean, the image selection could just be a list of images, right? So you choose one of the list of images. So that I think we could display that okay. if they're just images. I think more the trickiness a little bit is around when you select an image, how does that then get passed back to the confirmation window modal, and then how does that then get passed back to the originating form window, right? That's kind of the thing. Is that am I right in that? So I'm guessing it sounds like you've got the image displaying okay, or the images displaying okay. That's okay, right? It's really how it's passed back. And I think you could do I think you could do a couple of tricks with this. So the confirmation window, this one's on the screen right now.
Yes.
That should be doable pretty easily, right? Because that should be when you choose the image, the URL of the image could be passed to this modal.
Right.
So I don't think that's too hard, right? That should be okay. The next one's a bit tricky because you then have to kind of refresh the other page. When you say yes to this, you have to refresh the sort of parent page with this new icon. So, there's a couple ways I'm thinking about doing this. One is that actually goes back to a different page. So a page that looks almost identical, but this new page, instead of taking the example image, looks up the one that's been passed, for example, right? So that's one way of doing it. The other way would be that you actually use conditional visibility. So when the image is not known in the back end, right? Yeah, it's sending the parent page a false. So the sort of update image isn't available. But when the image is known, has been selected in the back end, that's set to true and it displays what that is. So you basically have, because you can do some great tricks with conditional visibility where in Figma, they're on top of each other, and then you just show one or the other depending on what the true or false flag sets. So
I see. And sorry, just to get clarification. So what you're saying is on the conditional one, we would then attach or bind a get.
Yeah. So, but you can't. What would happen is, it's not. You'd have to have in the back end say. So what would happen is on the parent one, you'd have two images on top of each other. Normally, the sort of selected one is invisible, but when it is selected, it's true, and it's set to, and this form sets it. So basically, when you do the post to choose the image, it sets it in the parent one. It's just not visible when it's not selected or hasn't been selected before. And that way you could do that piece potentially, I think. So does that make sense?
It does. I think it's going to take some playing around, but I do get the logic. Well,
really, what we found is that a lot of people, conditional visibility is really powerful if you start to head around it. I mean, we actually got some users who use it to actually control logic in the platform. So before we had this conditional action, we had people make buttons appear or disappear, which go over top of each other, that go into different places. So you can do a ton of things with conditional visibility, and you can even do like big chunks of the structure of the page. So it's quite a powerful thing. And so, I mean, I think the rule of thumb that I've seen is that if you're not sure, try conditional visibility to solve your problem, because it can actually solve a lot of things.
100%. It's so funny that you say that, Toby. In fact, we had done something like this. Please don't mind the quick design, but we had basically stacked these two buttons on top of each other. Right. Because we want this to be a detail page for a notification, and basically we wanted different navigation. So what we did was, with each UI elements having a different condition, we then prototyped it to different screens, and that's how we essentially were able to get different flows.
Right, perfect. Yeah. So you're doing it already. So it's just another way of using the same thing, basically.
100%. And I mean, thank you so much for that. That answers my third question. I've got one more question, and then I'm out of here. I'm out of your guys' hair.
No, this is great. Yeah, this is great content for us, because the problems you have is a problem lots of people are having, and so and actually, if we have someone seeing what you're doing, it's like it gives them ideas. So look, I mean, I'm more than happy to do this. And actually, just to check, Javier, is there any other ways we could do this? I mean, we should conditional visibility is always the thing I fall back to, but is there any other ways that we could do what we just talked about in terms of kind of having these lower choices affecting the sort of parent one like that you could think of?
So was that a question for me?
Yeah, it was a question for you. I mean, if you can't think of anything, don't worry. I was just making sure I haven't missed anything. I
mean, I will just try to figure out if maybe some of of the current flows you're creating with the conditional visibility can be transformed into the conditional actions, because that could potentially reduce like some of the UI elements in Figma, which can be useful to run the app later. Because we have some limits in the amount of nodes and amount of screens you can create. So I will try that.
That's actually a really good point. Conditional actions really, really help reduce the complexity of the actions of Figma design. Okay, so your last question.
Cool. My last question sort of has to do with the previous screen that I was also presenting. This one, I don't really have too much faith in a positive answer, but if it does result in one, I'd be over the moon. So as you can see, what we have over here is basically a bunch of containers that will essentially be a repeating data list of notifications. And we wanted to know if it is possible to have different designs within a repeating data list. So for example, we wanted, if you have withdrawn money from an account, your profile picture and where that notification comes from, that icon would show up. However, if it is something that you haven't necessarily had any action on as a user outside the platform, we wanted it to kind of output as the design I've shown. I hope that makes sense. But so basically the question is, is it possible to have different designs for a repeating data list?
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I know.
Conditional visibility. Conditional visibility.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, correct me if I get this wrong, Javier. If you think about it, so you're going to have one box, right, which is repeated. Now that box could have conditional visibility on it that can, I'm just trying to think, it should be able to vary depending on what the API has. I'm not certain on this one, but I think you could do that so that you could have, for example, let's look at this one. You've got one image or two images, so you could have it that second image as a conditional visibility, and then as you go through the API, if one's true, one's false, it can make different pieces appear or not appear. Javier, is that correct?
Yeah, it's totally correct. So I mean, basically you need to create in Figma, the design you create, that's the one that will be used all the time. So you cannot create like more than one design in Figma for one single container. What you can do is, for instance, if you have two variations of what the list items should look like, you could like put those two like on top of each other, or some of the elements, so you could have all those in the container in Figma, and then show them or hide them conditionally with the conditional visibility. So you need to have like in each record of your database, one like a true or false value for each of those conditional elements, basically. So for some of the items could be, some of them would be true, some of them would be false, etc. Where you could have like different designs.
So I mean, the way to think of this, and remember, it's not just about, I mean, as Javier says, you can have multiple pieces that appear or don't disappear. So long as you can handle that in the back-end logic, predicting true or false when you want them to appear, then you can make all these things, switch them on and off as you want for each different element.
Yeah, fantastic. That does answer the question. Thank you guys so much. Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, so what you should do is you should evangelize conditional visibility into the community, right? And let everyone know that you can solve. It's basically in 90% of the cases, the answer is conditional visibility, basically, as far as I can see.
I can see it as well. It seems that way, and it really is such a powerful tool. I mean, I think as soon as you wrap your head around the basics of it, you immediately just look at your file and start to see all the different places it could ultimately fit in. So it's really powerful.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's helping you. That's the end of the day. That's the most important thing for us.
Thank you guys so much, as always.
No worries. I think, is that it? I think that's it. We've got to cover off today.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, we're good. Awesome. Well, so thanks for coming along and talking to us. I'm happy to hope we helped, and let us know how you get on, and if you need, and come back to another session if you need some more help.
We'll do. I'm pretty sure we'll be back. We're constantly building, and we're very close. So
awesome. Good luck. Nice one. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
See ya.